Campus food deliveries vanished so often that no one even commented anymore. Then it happened to me again and again. I never identified the thief, but by New Year's Eve I was finished with being an easy mark. I set out a bowl of soup as bait and soaked it with water wrung from an old bathroom mop. I meant to make whoever stole it regret touching my food. A week later, the police did not come for the thief. They came for me. The counselor slid a penalty notice across his desk. $600 for food costs and medical fees, due next week. The person who ate my food had been hospitalized for poisoning. The school was already discussing a major demerit, the cancellation of my first-class scholarship, and the loss of my needs-based stipend. That stipend was the money keeping my sick mother alive. They planned to pin everything on me, shield the real culprit, and bury me under paperwork. Unfortunately for them, they chose the wrong target. I was the law department's resident argument addict, and I intended to turn their dirty little mediation into a public collapse. The person stole my food and got sick. Why am I the one paying? I said. Edwin Wilson, whom everyone called Mr. Wilson, let out a tired sigh. No matter who stole first, the moment you put something like that in the meal, the nature of it changes. They were hospitalized. Their stomach was pumped. That is a fact. And them stealing from me is not a fact. I shot back. The younger officer flipped through the statement in his hands and cut in, his voice bland but pointed. I suggest you cooperate. They are only asking for medical fees. They are not pursuing criminal charges. That is already generous. Then, let me see their medical records, I said. If their stomach was pumped, what did they pump out? The older police officer frowned. Edwin leaned forward, his tone smoothing out. Finn, why are you pushing this? The school has already mediated. Just follow the process. Do not go looking for trouble. Edwin seemed to take my silence as surrender. His shoulders relaxed, and his voice softened. Look, the school is under pressure. That's why they recanceling the $4,000. How about this? Pay the medical fees first. Once things settle down, I will help you apply for hardship aid. I can probably get some of it back for you. I nodded. I even looked obedient as I pulled out my phone and opened the transfer screen. Okay, I said. Mr. Wilson, which QR code should I use? Relief flickered across his face. Money always had that effect on people. I typed in 640 and tapped confirm. My screen flashed a green transfer successful banner. Edwin checked his phone. His brow creased. I did not get anything. That's strange. Mine says it went through. I tilted my screen toward him. Probably a network delay. Give it a second. He refreshed twice. Still nothing. I stepped in, helpful and concerned. Do you want me to check whether your account has some kind of restriction? The moment someone believed money was about to land, their guard dropped. Edwin actually handed me his phone. I took it and scanned fast. Not greedy, just precise. The top chat was with the Dean of Student Affairs. The other side offered too much. We cannot afford to offend whoever is backing them. So that was it. Backroom pressure. It was someone with connections, and the school had chosen who to protect. Excitement sparked in my chest, sharp and clean. I had always loved a fight, especially the kind you won with words. I handed the phone back as if nothing had happened. Maybe I entered something wrong, I said. I am out of money right now. I will go back and redo it. The transfer record was fake anyway. I had sent it to my own alternate account. I had barely cleared the administrative building when my phone vibrated. It was Edwin, I answered. His voice dropped, tight and controlled. Finn, I will be honest with you. This case was mediated jointly by the school and the security office. All I can do is coordinate. He paused, then pressed harder. If the money does not arrive within 30 minutes, I will have to submit the materials up the chain to the dean. And once it reaches that level, Therese no room to turn this around. I gripped my phone until my fingers went white. When I returned to the counselor's office, I opened by playing pitiful. Mr. Wilson, this really feels unfair, I said. Why am I the only one being punished? What about the person who actually stole the food? Edwin sighed and spread his hands, helpless on the surface. Someone higher up will want to talk to you eventually. At least between us. Therese still some teacher-student goodwill. The threat underneath was obvious. He leaned back in his chair. I advise you to accept the penalty now. If this goes up to school leadership, they will not be nearly as easy to deal with. It was a good thing I had a habit of collecting gossip. It looked like time to increase the dosage. If you do not want to help me, then the thing between you and Maisie, we might accidentally let that slip, I said quietly, and her comprehensive evaluation score clearly failed. You still gave her an A. Edwin's eyelid twitched. Maisie Quinn was the business school's campus belle. Last semester, her evaluation score ranked 3 points below mine, yet she still walked away with a national scholarship. I had found that strange at the time. Last week, I learned why. I had wandered into an office by accident and caught Edwin with his hand on her thigh. They had been kissing. Edwin had a family. I had heard his wife was vicious. He also had 2 sons built like calves. Enough. He slammed his palm on the desk and shot to his feet, his face flushing red. Do not mess around. Finn, listen to me. Things are not what you think. He drew in a breath, forced himself to calm down, then softened his tone. What do you want? I already spoke up for you with the dean. A major demerit was reduced to a warning. Expulsion became scholarship cancellation. I met his gaze. Who stole my food? And why is the school only punishing me? Silence stretched for several seconds. Finally, Edwin spoke. The Griffith family made a call. Canceling your scholarship was a condition set by Luther Griffith's father, he added bitterly. The school still needs approval from the Griffith side for the new campus land. What choice does the dean have? He can only accept it. The school will consider compensating your losses later. When I left the office, my heart pounded like a drum. So it was him. Luther was the only son of the Griffith family, the wealthiest household in Juliston. He was a third-year business major and a notorious campus trust fund brat. The irony was that Luther's petty habits were no secret to me. Of all people, the school stepped in to mediate. Each side was allowed to bring only one companion into the room. Luther sat beside his mother, Ivy Reed. Her hair was curled into careful waves, and her eyes swept over me from head to toe with sharp scrutiny. I scanned the conference room and spotted a familiar figure by the window. It was Jackson Shaw. With him there, I did not feel completely alone. A man in a suit stood. I am Mrs. Griffith's legal counsel. Based on the evidence we have, you placed unidentified substances into a food delivery. As a result, my client's son suffered acute gastroenteritis and required hospitalization. This satisfies the elements of the crime of placing dangerous substances. He paused and looked at me as though granting a concession. Given that you are still a student, Mrs. Griffith is only requesting the following. He raised 3 fingers. First, compensation for emotional distress in the amount of $100,000. Second, a public apology, a recorded video, pinned to the campus forum for 1 week. Third, voluntary withdrawal from the school. The direct director of academic affairs cleared his throat. Given that Finnick's usual academic performance is acceptable, the withdrawal clause can be set aside for now. Luther suddenly covered his face. His shoulders shook violently. I did not steal it, he cried. That day, I saw a delivery on the table. I thought my roommate brought it for me. How was I supposed to know it was yours? I did not do it on purpose. Ivy wrapped an arm around him and glared at me as if she wanted to carve me open. Exactly. Who has not eaten the wrong thing before? Luther pointed at me, his finger trembling. If something serious had happened to me, this would have been attempted murder. I rolled my eyes. Article 232 of the criminal law, I said calmly. The crime of intentional homicide requires subjective intent to deprive another person of life. I met his gaze. Now tell me, how was I supposed to predict that you would steal my food? His sobbing cut off mid-breath. He clearly had not expected me to know the statute so well. The lawyer raised a hand. Even if this does not rise to the level of homicide, it still constitutes intentional poisoning. According to the hospital test results, E. coli levels exceeded the standard. I cut in. Since when is that classified as poison? And may I ask, what category does mop water fall under? Luther clamped a hand over his mouth and started gagging again. His face drained of color. This time, the nausea looked real. Ivy's expression darkened. I reached into my backpack and took out my recorder. I'd like everyone to listen to a short recording. As soon as the device appeared, the male assistant behind the lawyer stood and moved toward me. Hold on, he said with forced cheer. We've been talking for quite a while. That must be tiring. Have some water. He handed me a cup, then tipped it. The water spilled out in a rush, soaking straight into the seams of the recorder. I snatched it back and pressed the power button. The screen lit up. It still worked. I had just started to relax when someone slammed into my arm. It was Jackson. The recorder flew from my hand, sailed through the open window, and shattered on the ground below. My bad, Jackson said in a panic. I saw the assistant trying to grab your things. I was trying to block him. I did not mean to. I am sorry. Something clicked in my mind, then snapped. When the assistant spilled the water, Jackson had been sitting to my right. If he truly meant to help, he could have spoken up then. Why wait? Panic, guilt, and avoidance flickered in his eyes. Across the table, Luther and his mother wore satisfied smiles. The lawyer gathered his documents with calm precision. 3 days. If the $100,000 and the apology video are not delivered, we will proceed through formal legal channels, he added. At that point, you should prepare to leave the school. A strange excitement spread through me. I was known for arguing people into corners, and I never backed down when it mattered. An apology was never an option. The moment I recorded that video, I would be branded a poisoner for life. My record would carry a stain I could never erase. Even if I ended up delivering food for a living someday, platforms would worry that I might tamper with the meals. That left only one path, fight it to the end. The Griffith family moved faster than I expected. They no longer bothered with courtesy. The next morning, I woke up as a nationally reviled figure. The instant I unlocked my phone, headlines flooded the screen. Male college student poisons roommate out of jealousy. Top law student breaks the law. Methods cruel and calculated. Someone even dug up the fact that I once failed to turn in a homework assignment in high school and paraded it as proof of moral corruption. Paid commenters swarmed every platform and forced the narrative in one direction. They claimed Luther had only grabbed the wrong delivery by accident. They painted me as vicious by nature, the sort of person who would not even spare stray cats or dogs. A soft knock came from my dorm door. Jackson stood outside. His eyes were swollen and red, like walnuts. He held out a limited edition mechanical keyboard I had wanted for years, worth several hundred. He apologized with visible sincerity. My parents have worked for the Griffith family for 10 years. Luther threatened them. If I did not help him, my parents would lose their jobs. In the adult world, everyone had something they could not afford to lose. I thought about our 3 years as best friends. I chose to believe him once and give him a single chance. I turned back, opened my drawer, and took out a USB drive. What's on this needs to be posted on the campus forum and Instagram when the trial starts in 3 days. It's anonymous. As long as it's legal, your parents will never know it was you. Jackson's eyes lit up. He nodded hard. Oh, one more thing. He lowered his voice, and his expression shifted. I was in the hallway the day Luther took the delivery, he said. A poor bastard ordering takeout. How embarrassing. Cannot he just eat in the cafeteria, showing off right in front of me? I froze. That was it, Jackson continued quietly. He also said, why do poor students get so much aid? I pay so much tuition, and still have to watch them eat good food in front of me. His voice faded before he finished, but I understood the rest. I had assumed Luther targeted me because my grades were better. In truth, he could not stand seeing me live with any comfort at all. Even a $4 meal was too much. 3 days passed in a blink. Luther sued me. On the day of the hearing, reporters packed the courthouse entrance. The case had turned explosive. The chancellor and the mayor both appeared, and several major media outlets live-streamed the trial nationwide. Everyone wanted to see how this poison man would be punished. The hearing began. The opposing lawyer spoke with practiced ease and came fully prepared. He submitted a thick stack of test reports and a surveillance video. In the footage, a stray dog took a sip from the bowl of soup. Less than 10 minutes later, it began to foam at the mouth, convulsed, and collapsed. The courtroom erupted, and the live-stream chat exploded. The judge struck his gavel to restore order. Defendant, do you have any response to the plaintiff's accusations and evidence? He asked. Ivy wore the cold smile of someone already certain of victory. Your Honor, I said, calm and steady. As I rose to my feet, I have a question. I spoke without haste and let my gaze sweep the room. The opposing counsel keeps emphasizing that I poisoned a food delivery. I paused. But that day, I did not order takeout at all.